credit to Case Study QB for getting this video from Fox News. This is really incredible. So Fox hosts had a conversation about a law that's being floated in California, which is a 32-hour work week. So like a 4-day work week type situation. They get outraged at the idea of a 4-day work week. Let's take a look.
Democrats in California are trying to cancel hard work. Here's their idea. State reps are proposing a 4-day work week for companies with more than 500 employees. That's right. They're proposing shortening your office work week from 40 hours to just 32 hours. But get this part. Your salary stays the same. So it's 32 hours of work for 40 hours of pay. And if you want to work more than 32 hours, you have to get paid time and a half for overtime. And remember, this is happening in the midst of an alarming labor shortage in America. Employers cannot find workers. There's somewhere around 10 million jobs unfilled in this country right now. Are they lazy, this generation, Judge? Is that what it is? Or have they figured out life is short? We've been taught to work so hard. You waste your whole life working. You could be taking it easy and get overtime.
Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen. If you're in a company with more than 500 employees, you get to work 32 hours instead of 40 hours. That means everybody else is going to say, I only want to work 32 hours or I'm going to quit my job. Okay. And the problem then is that after 32 hours, they're going to say, oh, I only want to work 25 hours. This is the beginning of the end as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Nobody wants to work anymore. Everybody's lazy. The pandemic's a mess. People are walking around in pajamas in the supermarket. They go to church in their pajamas. I don't get it. That's all I have to say. Nobody wants to work. Everyone's lazy.
Workers are dressed better than these people.
Amazing. The thing that I love the most about Fox News is that they are very clearly elitist. They are super elitist while they try to posture like they're not. And like, you know, they're the populace. They're looking out for the average American. There's never been a more smug, condescending, elitist conversation than what you heard right there. So let's break it down. 40 hours to 32 hours. That's the conversation that we're happening. Potentially moving to a 4-day work week. And I like how when Geraldo points out your salary would remain the same, they're like, they scoff at that. They're apoplectic. Like, yeah, why? That's actually awesome. What's the problem? Now, by the way, I should point out there's been a number of studies on this, and what they found in no uncertain terms is when you reduce the number of hours or you make it a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week, the productivity either stays the same or actually goes up. It goes up. So you're not like, you know, wasting time lollygagging at the job anymore. You work fewer hours, so you're more fresh and ready to go, and then you're able to focus much better. So yeah, one of the reasons why the pay would be the same is because the productivity is the same or even better in some circumstances. They've done pilot programs in a number of different places, and there were really positive results. Then they bring up like, oh, and if you work more than 32 hours, you get time and a half. Again, that's something, they don't like that idea. But like, if you poll people on that, if you poll the country, what are they going to say? I would bet that working 32 hours would be certainly over 60% support, maybe 70 or more, but certainly over 60. Time and a half for more than 32 hours, that might even get more support than the 32-hour thing. That might be 70, 80% support for that. These are things that are really popular, and these guys are like scoffing at it. Now, by the way, think about how much each one of those people at that table makes who were talking about it. And you only saw a piece of the clip. You can go watch the whole thing on Case Study QB's Twitter timeline if you want. They go on and everybody has similar commentary, but how much do each one of them make? And how many hours do they work? You know, and we're talking about people, a lot of people in this country, what is it? A little bit more than half of workers make $30,000 a year or less in this country. Like, it'd be great if they can make the same but work a little bit less. It's only fair. Really, they should be probably paid more. Then Pirro brings up everybody else is only going to want to work 32 hours after seeing this. Yeah, and that's good. Like, she frames that as if it's like, she literally says, this is the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end of what? Endless exploitation and endless overworking? Because that is what happens. I mean, in this country, we are severely overworked. The U.S. has a puritanical work culture in many respects. And now we're not the only country. There are other countries. I think in Japan, they work ridiculous hours as well, maybe even more than we work here. But this isn't the only way to do it, Like, they still have, in some countries in Europe, they still have, like, everybody takes an hour or two off for lunch every day. They still have a culture of, like, you need to have a better work-life balance. And really, ultimately, that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about creating a better work-life balance, having a little bit more leisure time along with your work while still getting paid the same. It's hard for me to conceptualize that anybody truly opposes that. But I mean, what they want to do is just force people to work even if they're miserable. Now that's the other point too, is that, what was the number? I think it was like only 18% of people feel, quote, engaged when they're at work. And what that tells me is that's almost like a stand-in poll for, like, what percentage of you truly like your job, where when you're doing it, you are engaged and you are with it. 18%, man, that is super duper duper low. That's so low, it's ridiculous. And so, don't you feel sympathy for those people? Like, doesn't that make you either want to pay them more or give them more time off or find a way where they can get more hobby time or find a way where they can have a job that makes them feel fulfilled? When I look at that, I think that's like a silent crisis we're dealing with in this country. And they don't care. They just want you to just go back to work and shut up and work as many hours as I say you should work. It's such, like, they are so biased to how we currently do it. They think, like, well, the way we do it now is how we do it now, so that has to be the right answer. And it's like, no, there are a lot of things about the system that are stupid. By the way, the U.S. is one of the only developed countries that doesn't have paid vacation time by law. We're also one of the only developed countries that doesn't have paid maternity leave by law. When you look at it, it's astonishing when you look at the chart. I've showed you guys the chart a number of times, but, like, you have all these different countries that have, like, a mix of, like, you get X amount of paid sick days, X amount of paid vacation days, X amount of paid maternity leave, and you see this chart, and it's like people in some countries get up to, like, a month paid off by law every year. And here in the U.S., we have no paid time off by law. So it's just, we're so far behind in this very basic metric, and these guys don't know those facts, and even if they knew them, they wouldn't care, because, again, their position is, shut up, get back to work, get exploited, and get over it. And then they literally say at the end, everybody's lazy. That's quite a thing to say. I mean, so what's the unemployment rate right now? I don't know the unemployment rate off the top of my head, but here, let's look it up. Unemployment rate in the U.S. 3.6% right now. Now, that is not the actual unemployment rate. They fudged the numbers, so let me type in the U6 unemployment rate right now. 7.1%. So that's more like the real unemployment rate. So you have about 7% of the country is unemployed. The rest are employed or doing something productive, right? We're talking like 90-ish% of the country that's working. And you look at them and you say they're lazy. Now, 90% of the country is working. And only 18% of that 90% feel engaged at work. But they're still working. That is nowhere near lazy, Janine Pirro. That is people, unfortunately, having to suck it up and go through the motions to pay the bills and look after their kids and all this stuff. And instead of acknowledging, like, the sacrifice that is and the shitty situation they're in, it's just like finger wagging and judgment and, like, everybody's lazy. No, they're not. And by the way, even of the people who are unemployed, I don't agree that all of them are just lazy. I don't agree with that. It's not lazy. Like, if you're working a job and you don't love it, and you're trying to find a job that you love, and you're currently unemployed, does that mean you're lazy? No, that means you're intelligent. That means you're rational. You're trying to find a better life situation and make it work. Like, the contempt they have. And I got to be honest with you guys. Maybe I'm weakening my argument here, but I don't care. I'll be honest. I got to take it a step further. Even people who are fully demotivated and they think the entire system is bullshit and they sort of checked out, I don't blame those people. Like, I look at the anti-work people and I'm like, I sort of see where you're coming from. You know, that's not to say I don't have policy disagreements with them, because I do. But, like, I can understand where that comes from. Before I do what I do now, I was a car salesman. And I was miserable. And so I understand, I sympathize with anybody who's in a situation like that, or a different job where they feel like that, because it's like, yeah, it sucks. Oftentimes it sucks. I really hope people could work fewer hours, get paid the same or more, or find a new job that they don't despise. That's what I want. There's no humanity in her reaction and in their reaction. It's just like moral outrage over nothing. Moral outrage when the real outrage should be at the fact we work as many hours as we currently do. That's what I'm really outraged about. That people work hours that are far too long for pay that's nowhere near good enough, and they don't have the paid sick days and the paid vacation days and the paid maternity leave and paternity leave and all that stuff. That's what I'm outraged about. That the economy is so rigged and broken that basically 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And by the way, that poll was 78, I think, and that was pre-pandemic that we were at that point. That's what it pisses me off. What pisses me off is, what were those numbers? Billionaires make trillions during pandemic. Let's see. What was the number? Billionaires made, this is from January 26th, 2021. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I got a newer one. January 16th, 2022, billionaires added $5 trillion to their fortunes during the pandemic. And this is, CNN is reporting on it. Billionaires added $5 trillion. That's what pisses me off. And the report, by the way, was compiled by Forbes, and it was in Oxfam. That's what pisses me off, is that you have incredible income and wealth inequality, and basically the plebs are forced to shut up and go to work and don't complain. And we get the tiniest measures to ameliorate the harm and to create a better system, and they're mad about it. I think we should have a 4-day work week nationwide. I do. And I think you should get paid the same or more. And the studies bear out they'll be equally as productive or even a little more productive. I think it's a wonderful idea. And I don't know why we didn't already do it. Actually, I do know why we didn't already do it in the entire country, because we're a corporatocracy. And the corporations do not want that to happen. But hopefully we can get, a cultural shift in how we think about it. And hopefully, hey, maybe some corporations will realize they're more productive and they only work 4 days. And so then they'll go down that path. We shall see. But, I doubt it. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.